Now question C. The class fence, now another class, isn't it? Another class. Stores data about what? The fences. Each fence has a height in centimeter and a weeks number. The weeks is a whole number between 1 and 5 inclusive. That is 1 and 5. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. A weeks of 1 means the fence is the easiest type to jump. A weeks of 5 means the fence is the hardest type to jump. Fence. That is the what? Class. Height, weeks. That is what? Attributes. So height stores the height of the fence in centimeter. The height is between what? 70 and 180 inclusive. This is not an information. You don't have to worry about it. When you need it, you go back there, isn't it? Weeks is what? An integer. Stores the weeks as a whole number between 1 and 5 inclusive. Constructor initializes height and weeks to his what? Parameter values. Get height returns the height of the fence. Get weeks returns the weeks of the fence. Write the program code to declare class fence is constructor and what? Is the question is unlike the previous one, isn't it? The previous one says only the class and the constructor, right? But this is saying what? The class, constructor, and get methods. All this for 4 marks. Unlike the previous question that says only class and constructor for 4 marks, isn't it? Then get method for what? For 3 marks. That is 7 marks. So can you see in the previous question it was 7 marks. In this question it was 4 marks. Do you understand? Good. Use your programming language appropriate constructor. All attributes must be private. And how many marks is this? 4 marks. So everyone write this in 2 minutes. You can put your answers in the comment section. Now, I expect everyone to have posted your answers or written your answers in the comment section. So let me solve now. Now, we need to write another class, right? Will I write it inside that class or outside of the previous class? Do you know I can write it after the main function? But I need to write it before the main function was called, isn't it? Good. Then I write class fence. Okay, class fence. The constructor. That is the what? The def init constructor. How many parameters do we require here? 2. For how many attributes? 2. So that will be what? Height and weeks. So that will be what? Self dot height is equal to what? Height, isn't it? Then self dot weeks is equal to what? Weeks. I've declared the 2 attributes, right? But I need what? A declaration, isn't it? I've initialized but I haven't declared. So that should be what? Integer. And this should also be integer. The next is what? The constructor. That is done, right? And about what? The get method. There are how many get methods? 2. What is the first one? Def. That is get what? Get height. Get right. I pass what? Self. What does it return? Returns what? The height of the fence. That will be return self dot height. The second one is what? Get weeks. Get weeks. Then I pass what? Self. It return what? Self dot weeks. Understood? So that is done. That is 4 marks. Don't forget all attributes must be private. And you also have to write what? Attribute declaration using what? Comments. Now question II. 5 marks again. The array course stores 4 fence objects. The user inputs the height and width for each fence, and these are validated before each fence is created. Now the question is talking about validation, isn't it? What should come to your mind when you see this validation? The table. The table has mentioned the data that will what? Valid for height and what? Width, isn't it? So you need to, that's why I said, don't waste your time with the table description. When you need that description, you come back to it. So height is only valid if it is between 70 and 180 inclusive, right? And width is only valid if it's what? 1 and 5 inclusive. Those are the valid values. Now, the question is saying that you need to what? Validate before the fence is created. That means if the data is not valid, do not create the fence object. Fence is an object, isn't it? Course is an array, isn't it? Is that understood? Are we supposed to write? Not yet. Now, amend the main program. Now you can type, isn't it? So in 2 minutes, answer this question. When you are done, post your answer to the comment section. Then you guys must be done. Submit your answers in the comment section while I solve this question. Okay, good. The array course stores 4 fence objects. The user inputs the height and width for each, and these are validated before the fence is created. Amend the main program to, then I go back to the main program to amend. So this is the main program. It says amend the main program to declare the local array course. So course is equal to, and course is of type what? Array of type fence. Isn't it? Take as input the data for 4 fences. 4. So you're not to take 1. So you need a for loop or a while that will run how many times? 4 times, as the case may be. For num in range of 5, isn't it? So this will run how many times? 4 times. Oh, this will run 5 times, but I need 4, right? In range of 4. Good. Or 1, 5. Good. Now, take as input. That's the first thing. Take the input. The data for what? For 4 fences. And what are the data for 4 fences? Height and width. You take both at the same time. Not take one, validate, then take another one, validate. No, take both. Validate both at the same time. Okay? So let's take input from the user. So let's take the height input. So height is equal to integer input. Enter the height value. Okay? Input should be small I and not capital I. The next one is what? Is the width, isn't it? Then the width. Enter the width value. Then we need to do what? Validate. So, isn't it? Validate. How do we validate? We can use the while loop to validate, because the question says that it says loop the inputs, that is that input, until both, can you see that word? Both height and width are valid. So you continue in that loop until it is valid. That means don't receive another input if the first input is not valid, and you must receive 4 inputs. So when you receive the first input, if it is not valid, don't receive the second one. Stay there until it is valid. So let us stay there. Is that understood? So how do we get there? We need to check why not if it is not if height is not between what 70 and 180. So why 70 less than or equal to height less than or equal to 180, and or as the case may be, and then 1 less than or equal to which, isn't it? Less than or equal to 5. What does this imply? So let me put a big bracket. This means that this is height is more than or equal to 70, right? And height is less than or equal to what? 180. It means y height is not between 70 to 180, and it is not between 1 to 5. You still continue to receive the input. So that means I need to continue receiving the input because it is not valid. Then I will ask for the input again. Is that understood? I will ask for the input again. And it will continue to ask in as much this is not valid, because when this is not valid, it gets to this loop, right? Receive height and what? Reach and start again. Receives, start again. Receives, start again. It will be in this loop, isn't it? So the question is, are we supposed to use and or? Even if you use or, will it be wrong or right? It will still be right, isn't it? Because if height is not between this value, then this will be true, isn't it? Then this will be what? Let me explain again. If height is, let's say, 200, then this condition is true. Is false rather. Is false, isn't it? If this condition is false, even though this is true, what does not does? Not false makes this true and it runs. So it does not matter whether it is and or. Yes, true or false is true. So not true will be false. Oh, that's correct. Then I need to use and. Oh, thank you. Because true or false is true. So if this is false and this is true, then because it is false, or it becomes true. So not true becomes false. Then that code will not run. So it must be and. Thank you for that. So we need to be sure whether we can use and or. Is that understood? So in as much that both is now true, because the question says both, not one of them, both. If both is now true, that is, if this is true and this is true, then not true becomes false. Then it gets out of the loop. Is that understood? So when it gets out of the loop, what does that imply? That input is now valid, isn't it? If it is now valid, what does the question now says? Create an instance of fence for each of the four what? And store each instance in the array. That means you now create an instance. Okay, so that means I write instance is equal to what? Fence. How many parameters does it require? 2. Height and what? Height and width. Is that understood, everyone? Height and width. That is the height and width that has been received. We have created an instance, isn't it? It will now be added to where? To the array. That will now be cost dot append. God bless you, my brothers. Dot cost dot append is what? Instance. Is that understood? That was for the first input. Then it now goes back to the for loop for the second input. Receives the second input. Check if it is valid. If it is not valid, it stays in this while loop until it is valid. If it is not valid, it creates an instance and also what? Append. Goes to the next input until the for input is received. Is that understood? Now the question. How many marks is that? 5 marks. We are done, guys. That is the end of the 5 marks. So you can check the comment section, make comments on the code you see, and mark yourself. Good. All right, if you got it correctly before you saw this, or you have to wait for this before you solve. Now, question D. Before I solve this question, let me tell you one thing about this question. Let's add the total marks you have in this question. Total marks you have in this question. So this is 4 plus 3 is 7. This question alone is 34 marks out of 75 marks. So this question alone takes about 50% of the whole score, and there are 3 questions. Can you see that? There are 3 questions. So that means if you did not do this question, you are likely